My background is speech and language therapy, so I worked in paediatrics for around 9 years, and in that time I was lucky enough to work with lots and lots of young people, anything from the age of 2 up to 19, covering lots of different types of settings. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the new updates in the word lists. So before I kind of dig into that, I'm just going to go through a couple of things that will hopefully help us out a little bit during the session. So for those of you that maybe aren't as familiar with Zoom, you'll notice at the bottom of your screen, sometimes you have to activate it by moving your mouse. You'll get this toolbar down here at the bottom. And there's a couple of different things you can do with that. You'll notice there's a chat window. You can unmute yourself here as well. At the moment, we've got everybody muted. It just makes it a little bit easier so that everybody can hear. But if at any point you want to ask a question, feel free to unmute yourself to ask that question. Use the chat at any time if you've got any questions, or if you maybe want to answer some questions that are in there. I've got my colleague Cameron with me today, Cameron Smith. He's going to be keeping an eye on the chat window, and he'll be answering any questions as they come in. You can also, there are some emojis that you can use, so if you wanted to have a play around with some of those, we'll be keeping an eye on that as well. Just a couple of ground rules, just so that we know what to expect. We will be answering the questions on a first come, first served basis. So as they come through, Cameron will answer them if he can. If not, he'll hold on to it. And I will be taking kind of regular pauses to check in if there are any questions. So we'll either take it from the chat, or if anybody wants to unmute and ask them. If your question doesn't get answered, we will follow it up with an email. But as I say, we try to answer as much as we can during the session. And also, if you've got any kind of additional questions or comments afterwards, and you'd rather email them to us, then you can absolutely go ahead and do that. So, just to start off, I just wanted to have a brief look at this ecosystem. And this is something that we kind of put together at Toby Dynavox to kind of illustrate all the different tools that we have and things that we support within our company. So we always have, obviously, our user and those carers that are supporting them at the centre. And then on the outside of all the different things that we can do to support anybody that uses AAC. So it might be looking at hardware, so looking at different devices. It might be looking at different software options. It might be looking at symbols, and creating symbol-based resources using Boardmaker. We also have some great options looking at supporting curriculum, and we have lots and lots of free implementation resources as well. Today we're going to be focused on the software, specifically Snapcall first. But if there's anything else within this ecosystem that you would like to know more about, you can either have a look at the training page for our webinars. We will be delivering lots and lots of webinars over the coming weeks. And there are also lots of really great webinars being run by our colleagues over in the US as well. So there's a really great program up on there, so have a look. And if not, feel free to drop us a line and we can arrange a chat with you as well. So I thought it might be quite nice just to kind of start off with looking at what word lists are. So many of us here today will know about core vocabulary, and we know that these are about 200 to 300 important words that make up about 80% of what we say. So these include things like not, want, like, more. However, there's another set of important words, and it takes up a much smaller percentage of what we say, but it actually includes millions of words. And these enable us to talk, to clarify messages, and to learn about the world around us. And these are our word lists. You might also hear them referred to as fringe vocabulary. And the kind of words that we get within word lists are things like object names, actions, describing words. And you know, as you can imagine, those kind of list of words can be pretty endless. We could include millions and millions of words in there. So we've updated our word list and we made a couple of changes. And the reason we've done that is based on a couple of things, really. The first one is that it was based mostly on customer feedback. So when we kind of first released Snap back in 2017, we got some really good interaction. We've had lots and lots of people kind of taking it on as a piece of software that they're either using themselves or with people they work with or support. And it enabled us to kind of get a really good look at how it's being used amongst different groups, and also get some feedback from either people that are using them themselves or, again, those that are supporting. And one of the things that we got quite a lot was kind of questions about the way that we organised our word lists, and most of the feedback was kind of based around wanting the word list to be organised by frequency as opposed to alphabetically, which is how they were originally organised. So that customer feedback played a huge part of that. And then the other kind of main reason that we kind of re-looked at this is kind of new information that came around about the importance of teaching chorus foundation, and with less emphasis on having a really, really big vocabulary. So what this led to is some changes that we made around the organisation. So the updated word lists are now organised by frequency of use. So they were previously, as I mentioned, they were previously organised alphabetically, and originally that decision was taken as it made it basically more transparent for literate communication partners. So it kind of focused a bit on those partners that were modelling, and from that initial kind of user feedback that we got, that those that were modelling found it much easier to find vocabulary when it was listed alphabetically. However, what this meant was that the more frequently used vocab that our users need to access was actually less accessible, that they were having to kind of trudge through alphabetically to get to something. So, for example, if yogurt is your kind of one of your preferred foods, you're going to have to go right down to the bottom to find that, because it begins with a Y. So what we did was we re-looked at this and is now looked at kind of more frequently used vocabulary placed first, and then less frequently used vocabulary after that. So quite importantly, as a result of this, this does reduce the amount of clicks that you need to get to. So if you imagine, again, maybe that example of yogurt, because you're not having to scroll down to the bottom, it's reducing that amount of navigation that you're having to do. So what this actually does is it improves the access for the user. But the key thing here is making sure that the frequency in which that vocabulary is placed actually matches that person's need. So if we've got it right, then it's going to mean that the access for those words that they're going to use more frequently are going to be much easier to access. So that's looking at kind of the organisation, why we've changed that, and how we've changed it. Another thing that we've done, and hopefully you'll be able to, I will demonstrate this, so you'll be able to see a bit clearer, but this image hopefully shows you a little bit, is that we've actually moved where the related word lists are. So within each word list, we always gave, there was an extra button that would take you to related word lists. So for example, in this example here under animals, if you clicked on related word list, it will give you some different options like farm animals, wild animals, etc. What we've actually done is we've moved those into the main page at the top of the main word list. Again, it's going to reduce that amount of navigation, the clicks, but also kind of having to find that within that related list. We've also limited these to one row. So again, it's kind of making the most of the space that we've got without kind of cluttering it with lots and lots. So yeah, again, reducing the number of clicks, which is kind of quite one of the main points really of that's come out of this reorganisation. A couple of other bits. We've actually reduced the number of words that are in there. So we've reduced the number of words in the word list by about 67%, which takes them from around 8,000 to 3,000 words. So again, it's really kind of focusing on being able to get to where you need to quickly, and really focusing on that vocabulary that's more used, so that we can find that as much as possible. We've also reduced the kind of within each word list, there's going to be no more than 2 pages of vocabulary. So again, we're not having to scroll through 5 or 6 pages to get down to the bottom. Another key thing that we've done is if there's a word within a word list that is also available within core words, we've actually taken it away from the word lists. So we've tried to make sure that there is no duplication of words. So again, it's making sure that we're teaching our users the most efficient way to find those words. And if that happens to be in core words, then they can access it there. And again, it's reducing that amount of navigation through all the word lists, first of all finding the category and then having to find the correct word that we're looking for. So I thought it'd be useful to have a little bit of a look at a video, and I'm going to link you to this video and a couple of others at the bottom. So I'm actually recording the session today, and as a follow-up after this session, what I'm going to do is I'll send you this PowerPoint that I'm showing you, recording, and also any links to resources that I've mentioned. So I'll send you the full video of this alongside a couple of other videos that I think will be useful. What I'm going to show you within this is an example of creating a sentence using the original word list versus creating the same sentence using the updated word list, and showing you how that differs. And I think that could be hopefully quite useful for us to kind of get a bit of an idea of the changes. So I'm hoping, and Cameron, if you can let me know fairly soon if you can or can't hear this, that would be really useful. I'm just going to press play now.
Hi.
Yeah, we can hear that.
Yeah.
No. Answer. I know the answer. I. No. The. Answer. I know the answer.
Using the updated word lists gave us a savings of 3 hits. Okay, let's do another sentence.
You can go to the movie theater. You can go to the movie theater. You can go to the movie theater. You can go to the movie theater.
For this sentence, using the updated word lists gave us a savings of 5 hits.
So hopefully that's given you kind of a bit of an idea of the way that it's kind of saving time and navigation by just reordering by a frequency. And you'll notice, especially with this example, there's quite a lot of scrolling to get to certain vocabulary. And if we think about some of our AAC users that are maybe kind of earlier on in their journey, that kind of navigation through stuff can be really difficult, having to scan not only kind of one page, but then figuring out there's another page, how to get to it. So hopefully the aim with this is that it provides kind of quicker access for those learners. I'm just going to take a pause there. Cameron, do we have any questions at the moment?
With the release?
No questions in the chat window.
Okay, fantastic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into demo and I'm going to show you a couple of things. First of all, I'm just going to open up the new word list layout and show you what that looks like. And then second of all, I'm going to take you through how to replace the word lists. Now, I just want to take a moment at this point just to talk a little bit about how you can bring the new word lists into an existing user. So there's a couple of different ways, and we do have really good videos that show you exactly how to do both of these methods, but there's a couple of considerations to be made when you're thinking about this. So the first way is replacing the word list, and I'm going to show you how to do that today. But the important thing with this is to consider whether or not you've made a lot of changes to your word list. So if there's a fairly new user and that you've not really made many edits to the word lists, you've maybe moved a couple around, but you've not personalized it too much, then you can just simply go in and replace the old word list with the new word lists. However, if you have made quite a lot of changes and you want to save all of that, what you will need to do is copy and paste the new word lists in. As I say, there is a really good video for each of those methods, and it talks you through it all. It tells you every step, and it talks about the kind of considerations you need. I'm just going to show you today how to replace the word lists, but as I say, I will link you into kind of videos on how to do that. And then the last thing I want to show just while I'm in Snap is another new feature that we've had a couple of releases ago, which is about printing pages. And I just thought it'd be quite a nice time now just to show you how to do that while I'm in there. Any questions, Cam? I can see there's some messages.
Yeah, there are a couple of questions came in. So one question was asking, does the word list update reflect the user's frequency of use? And the second question was asking, which you've just answered, about the impact that these new pages have on those who've sort of made personalizations.
Yeah, absolutely, fantastic. So yeah, the impact that it has, as I mentioned, you can either import the whole new word list, but if you've personalized them and you want to keep those personalizations, you can copy and paste. So you don't have to lose all of those personalizations. The question about the word list, does it reflect the user's frequency of use? No, it does not. I will link you into, there's a blog that explains a little bit more about kind of frequency of use. But the order that we've chosen to put the kind of vocabulary in terms of order is frequency of use, is based on kind of popular language samples. So it's based on the population versus an individual. It's the kind of main reason for that is that it obviously what's kind of frequent vocabulary for me wouldn't be the same frequent vocabulary as it is for Cam versus what it is for our colleague Tina. So it's actually quite difficult for us to kind of do it kind of personally. But what you will find is that in a general sense that you will see that there's vocab that is kind of more frequent generally. But of course, if you did want to kind of personalize that order even further, then you can click and drag to rearrange, and I can show you how to do that. So just come into Snap and I'll show you, we'll go into word lists. And straight away you can see there are kind of fewer options on here. And then if I come into food and drink, and as an example, you can see that I've got the related list up here at the top, as opposed to having to click on an extra button down here to access that. And then you'll see here that we've got, that it's no longer alphabetized. So you'll see that we've got things like drink, dinner, lunch, breakfast up at the top, as those are kind of more common. However, Tony, if you, for example, maybe like me, eat a lot of ice cream, it's probably going to be something that I might want to move up to the top. So if I did want to go and personalize that even more to make it reflect my learners' frequency, then I can come into the edit button, click on that ice cream button and drag it up to the top. And I can do one of two things. I can either replace another symbol, so I might not eat fruit. and I can just hold it over the top and it will just swap those two over. Or I might want to put it in between. So I might want to actually put it in between bread, and then it's just going to move everything else over. So I can kind of take this frequency, but I can still personalize it further by moving some of the items around, or indeed adding something as well. I hope that answers. I've just spotted the question from Clive and Kay. So we do have we have localized this to UK English as well. So I actually think I've got the US version here. I've not. I do apologise, but I will show you in a second how to find the UK version too. So yeah, we do have it localized into English, so it will reflect English vocabulary and frequency therefore as well. So what I'll do now is I'll show you how I kind of go in and replace the old word list for the new word list. So just to do this, I'm just going to switch over to another user. And you'll notice here, if I come in here, I've still got the old layout here. So what I need to do, the first thing that I'm going to need to make sure is I'm going to back up my current user. So I'm going to do that via the sync button up here. Just type this in. If you are unsure about how to do a backup this way, we do have some really good videos on our YouTube channel. Feel free to ask us and we can link you directly towards it. But what I'll do here is I'm going to sync it up so that I've got a backup version of this original word list as well, just in case I want to go back to it. I've already done that, so I'm quite happy with that. The next thing that I need to check just before I start is that I've got the most up-to-date version of Snap Core first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the edit button again. I'm going to come down to where it says system down here. And then on the left-hand side, there's an about tab. And what I'm looking for is version 1.11 or higher. And I'll know that that's going to be the right version that I need to run these new word lists. So once I've done that, I actually need to go and find and download the bundle for the new word lists. And I'm going to do that by going to mytobydynavox.com. And I'm going to go to Page Set Central. So when I go to mytobydynavox.com, I click on Page Set Central. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to the search window and type, there we go, Snap Core first updated, and I can go for word lists. And then here you'll notice that we've got a US English. So for those of you that are based over in the States, you would want to select this one. And for those of us that are based in the UK, you want to select the UK one. If I click on there and scroll down, I then get a download button. And then what this is going to do is it's going to download it into my system, and I can save it to wherever. You might want to put it onto your desktop or somewhere easy that you can find it. I think I've just kept mine in my download tab. So now, once I've got that downloaded, I've got the new word lists. I'm going to come back within Snap Core first. I'm going to go edit. And I'll just bring this up so we can see it a little bit easier. I'm going to go page. And then down on the left, there's a import export pages button. And I want to import a page bundle. Now I've saved it onto my computer, so I want to get that from a local file. So I'm going to come in here, click browse, and I just need to go and find where have I saved it. Now I saved this onto my downloads, which is opened up there. Click on open, and then click on next. Now, you'll notice here that it's come up with a whole bunch of these little warning signs. And this says that there's some conflicts, some page conflicts, because we're saying, actually, I've already got some of these pages. So if I just click on one of these triangles, any of them, it doesn't particularly matter which one, it says, this conflicts with one that you've already got. What do you want to do? Well, actually, I want to overwrite that because I want the new one to be brought in. So if I click on overwrite existing page with the imported one, it means it's going to get rid of the existing one, but it's going to bring this new one in. And what I'm actually going to do is check this little box down here that says do this for all page conflicts. And then click OK. And then now I'm ready and I can click on import. So what this is going to do now is it's going to bring it all in. And I will now have the new word lists as opposed to the old ones. Let's see how long this is going to take. Obviously, I tested this earlier and it took less than a minute, and now it's going to take longer. Do you have any questions in the meantime?
Yeah, I thought I'll just ask you a question. So one we've got is asking, what happens if you want to download this to an individual device?
To an individual's device. So, well, you could either download the page bundle directly onto that user's device and then take it from there. Or the other thing that you could do is, if you remember when I went to the import section, it said if I wanted to import it from a local file, which meant obviously the device, or if I wanted to import it, let's just put here, from my Tobii Dynavox. So if that's the case, what I would do instead, if I didn't want to get it directly from the device, is when I come to finding this page bundle in PageSet Central, instead of clicking on download, I add it to my stuff. And then now it's going to ask you to log into your My Tobii Dynavox account. So this is where you would log into the user's account that is linked to their device. And then what it'll do is it'll add it into there. So now if I go on import from My Tobii Dynavox, it'll show me all the ones that I've got available through there, and I can select it there and go through the same process. Hopefully that will answer that question. Now there's one more step that I need to take just to finish this off. As part of this bundle, we've actually got a special word forms page to do with the verb to be. And that's actually automatically come in with that bundle, but what I actually need to do is change it and save it to the core words page. As I said, this is all outlined in a video, so don't worry so much if you don't totally follow it right now. But the way I need to do that is I'm going to go to my core words. I'll just minimize this so that you can see. I'm going to come to the word forms button and I'm going to delete that one. Then I'm going to come to actions and I need to double click to enter that. Find the word forms button here, copy it, go back to my core page, come back to this empty button and then click paste. Oops. Let's brought that down there, so I'm just going to bring it back up and place it onto there. And then now we've got the updated word forms within there as well. So I hope that gives you a bit of an idea. The process for copying and pasting is very similar. There are some extra steps within that, but it follows a kind of similar pattern. Cameron, are there any other questions before I move on?
Yeah, we've got another question asking have these updated page sets been set up for French Canadian, sort of bilingual?
So I don't 100% know the answer, but as far as I'm aware, I'm not sure whether the French has been updated with the word list. So Cameron, if you don't mind taking down Tony's name, what I will do, Tony, is I'll find out for you and email you separately after this session. I can't off the top of my head remember which languages we've localized yet. But if it hasn't already been localized, it will be. It's just that it might not have been released yet. So I will find out for you and we'll let you know. I'm aware of time, so I'm just going to crack on. Just wanted to show you the process for page printing. So again, I'm going to come into edit and and I need to go to page. And then what you'll notice is up on the right hand side where I've got these icons is there's a little print button. And I can either select there, or if I scroll down onto the left hand side, there's a print pages button there. If I click on the little printer item here, what it'll do is it gives me kind of a tool to select which pages I want to print. So because I was on the core words page, it selected that one. But I might actually also want to print my quick fires page, so I can search up that one at the top. And I'm going to print off the main one, but I also want the personal needs one. And I might also want to print off a specific topic. So let's go for art lesson. If I did want to print all of them off, there's a select all button at the bottom. Once I've selected the ones I want, I go on to next. And then here it gives me some options to kind of change the way that the page looks. So it might be that because I might just be using this for modeling, I might actually want to take the message bar away. I might want to take the kind of link buttons away as well. It's likely that you'll want to keep the toolbar, but there's an option to take that on and off as well. And for those of you that are maybe using the kind of data tracking tool, you can actually select to add on the user countage onto there as well. So once I've done that, I click on print and it will open up my printer option. I can go ahead and print that there. So just to recap, edit, and then hit this print button here. Okie doke. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch back to my PowerPoint, and I've just got a couple of quick bits. Excuse me. I'm aware that I'm a little bit over time. I have finished the word list portion of this. This is a link to a bunch of resources that I will send you, including a blog around the word list, and it goes into a little bit more detail about the different types of organisation and the pros and cons for each of those. So I'd actually highly recommend that. There's also a podcast where Bethany from our clinical content team is interviewed, and she goes into a little bit more detail about kind of word lists and the organisation of that as well. What I wanted to do just to finish this off was just to go through a couple of other updates within SnapCore first. And I won't go into great detail because we do have sessions that will cover each of these, and I'll give you the dates at the end of this. But we do have a new switch scanning page set in Core First that has recently been released. And what we've done with this is that we've optimized the Core First vocabulary for those that use switches. So it's designed to use group scanning for efficiency. The scan groups are determined by word type and or function. The words are ordered by frequency rather than alphabetically. So again, kind of following on from what we've done in Wordlists. Excuse me. We've reduced the number of scan steps to get you to get to the most common words. Again, we've kind of reduced the word lists, similar to what we've just done. There were 4 different grid sizes available. And we've also got some really nice learn to scan page sets in there. So these contain activity-based pages that help teach scanning. So the idea is we're introducing scanning to individuals, and it's not kind of designed to be their main function of communication, but it does allow you to kind of teach that maybe in a more structured setting. So as I say, if you're more interested in finding out more about that, we do have a session coming up, and I'll give you the date in a sec. We also have a new page set that supports those with aphasia. So this again is available within SnapCore First, all free page sets that are available. So this page set includes visual scenes, whiteboards, and rating scales. This is really aimed to support those that have maybe suffered from a stroke or brain injury. And then finally, we have a page set within Snap that is aimed to support those who are literate. So it's a simple, straightforward text-based app, and includes a really nice copy to button, which allows the users to do a lot of personalization and editing themselves. So as I said, we are doing a session like this one on each of those. So on the 10th of June, we will be covering the scanning. On the 18th of June, we'll be covering the text page set, and the 23rd, we'll be covering the aphasia page set. All of those can be found on the support and training section of our website, which will be where you were able to sign up for today's. If you've got any questions about that, feel free to get in touch. The last thing that I wanted to kind of point you towards is we've also put up loads and loads of dates for some other webinars that we're going to be covering. So we have a whole series that's going to be focused on Snap Core First and pathways, and this will be broken down into 6 different modules, and we'll actually be running through each of these twice. So again, have a look at the list of webinars that are coming up, and go and check out the dates and sign up for those. We also have a whole other set of modules based around Boardmaker Online. So this is going to be looking at making symbol-based resources. And again, this covers 6 different modules, and we'll be running those throughout the weeks, the coming weeks as well. That brings me to my last slide. So as I said, if you've got any other questions, feel free to get in touch with me or Cameron. We can also provide further training. So whether it's you're part of a team and you would like some smaller sort of personalized training around your team, whether you want some demos of some further software or hardware, or maybe you would like a little bit of help with bringing in the word lists into your customized vocabulary, then feel free to get in touch with us. If you already know your account manager, your local account manager, get in touch with them directly. If not, you can go to mytobydynavox.com/finders, and that will tell you who your local account manager or sales rep, if you based in the US and Canada, and they will be you'll be able to get in touch with them, and they'll be able to provide some support for you. Cam, are there any more questions?
No further questions on the chat.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much. I do apologise for running 9 minutes late. I tried my best to pack in as much as I could. As I say, I'd really love to hear from you guys if you introduce the new word lists and you've got any feedback. I would really like to hear from you. I'm happy to stay on for another 5 or so minutes. So if anybody else does have any questions and you would like to ask either in the chat section, or again, you can unmute. I will stay around for another 5 or so minutes. Thanks again for joining, and hopefully see some more of you. See some more of you at some of our other webinars coming up. Thank you. Go and enjoy the sun.
If you've done a lot of
Hi, Alice. I'm not sure if you saw there's a question from Anne Maria.
Yeah, I've just replied to you directly, Anne
Okay.
Maria. So what I've said is if you use the copy and paste method, you won't lose your personalizations. The link to that video will be in the presentation, but I've just sent you it personally as well. So hopefully you'll be able to check that out. For anybody else that might still be listening, we have our videos on YouTube. So if you go to our YouTube channel, you should be able to find, there's a little playlist about updated word lists. But as I said, I will be sending you out the link so that you can access those as well.
Great, thanks.
Okay, I think that's probably everything now. So I'm going to go ahead and close out the meeting. So for those of you who are still here, thanks again. And thanks, Cameron, for your help as well.
Thank you very much.
All right. Bye, everyone.